featured this week exclusively by Miranda Devine at the New York Post. A video just under 14 minutes long, the whole video, filmed from an undisclosed location somewhere on the planet as he lays out what he saw firsthand in a Chinese energy deal with the Biden family. He took us back to March of 2019 when he was able to summon a variety of government officials from the Justice Department to come meet him in Brussels as he laid out for 6 different federal government employees, including the people from U.S. Attorney's Office in New York, as well as FBI agents. He laid out the details of how this business deal was structured, the bribery that was involved, and the fact that Hunter Biden had a mole inside the FBI with one eye, a one-eyed mole inside of the FBI who was feeding information to Hunter Biden and the Chinese. He lays this all out. Dr. Gal Luft continues here in this audio explaining what happens after that meeting.
After Brussels, I never heard back from the DOJ, but instead of showing appreciation for my whistleblowing, I became public enemy number 1. Over the past 4 years that followed, me, my family, my friends, my associates, we were all harassed, intimidated, and finally, I was prosecuted. Despite all that, on the eve of the 2020 elections, I sent my lawyer to Washington to meet with then acting Deputy Attorney General, Mr. Richard Donoghue, to ensure he was informed about the information I had given his department in Brussels 19 months earlier, and also to warn him that there may still be a mole within the DOJ. Mr. Donoghue confirmed to my lawyer that he was aware of my claims, but now we learn from the IRS whistleblower that it was Rich Donoghue himself who suspended the investigation a few weeks earlier on September 4th, 2020, on the ground that it was, quote, too close to the elections.
All right, so just to give you some context here of what he's detailing. He says that he was prosecuted. He's being prosecuted by the Biden administration. And the form of that prosecution is that they're going after him for what they claim are arms trafficking charges. In February of this year, they arrested him in Cyprus under an Interpol red notice that was issued at the request of the United States. That is, the Biden administration made a request to arrest this guy, Gal Luft, who's been a part of, as I've said many times, but want to remind you, a part of Washington politics for decades. He's an establishment guy. They arrest him at the request of the United States, and they claim that he's wanted now for charges tied to the illegal export of arms to Libya and China. And then he ended up being arraigned on those charges of arms trafficking and fraud for offenses that allegedly occurred from 2015 onward. I'm quoting from Ynet News, by the way. This is back in February of this year. He was remanded in custody until another hearing on his extradition to the United States. And now, at the time of the arrest, he and his attorney were immediately claiming, look, this comes after Gal Luft 4 years ago was trying to alert the FBI and the Justice Department to corruption in the Biden family. And here he is now being arrested, and they're trying to get him into the United States. Now, right now, he's on the run. He was able to get away from all of this, and he's again reporting to us from undisclosed locations. But he says this is an effort to destroy him. Now, let me posit something for you. Let's say for a moment that the government does have a legitimate case against him. What if he is guilty of something, that he's guilty of a crime? Under normal circumstances, if you stand accused of a crime, but you happen to have information on a much bigger fish, well, that's a good thing for you, right? That's to the extent that you can achieve a get-out-of-jail-free card under normal circumstances. One of the ways you do that is you cop a plea deal. You come up with something, or you negotiate for immunity in order to cough up a much bigger figure. Somebody who these prosecutors can make their careers off of prosecuting. Somebody who the Justice Department can take down, a very high-profile person who's committing all sorts of awful crimes. That would be a big deal, wouldn't it? And so Gal Luft is saying, I've got the goods on the Biden family. I've got it right here. I'm laying it out for you. And yet the government arrests him. Now, couldn't they have worked out an arrangement with them? They go, look, we'll grant you immunity, but you've got to give us everything you know about the Bidens. If justice was truly blind, that would be the arrangement, wouldn't it? But instead, the only person's life who's being destroyed here is Gal Luft. And the Bidens, well, they get away with a couple of misdemeanor charges for not paying taxes on time and no felonies whatsoever for lying on a gun background check form and no charges whatsoever for foreign agent violations, for lobbying on behalf of foreign governments and entities, for bribery, which, I should remind you, under the United States Constitution, bribery is grounds for impeachment of the President of the United States. Bribery is in that same series as other high crimes and misdemeanors. This is a big deal. The founders knew it was a huge deal. Gal Luft says, look, I've got the goods. And instead, who did they arrest? Did they arrest Hunter? Did they arrest Jim Biden? Did they arrest Joe Biden? Nope. They decided to turn the weapons of the United States Department of Justice against Gal Luft, the person who was revealing all of it.
Finally, in February this year, I was arrested in Cyprus on an extradition request from the Southern District of New York, the very same office that met with me in Brussels. The 7-count indictment said I violated the Arms Export Control Act, and if I convicted, I would face up to 100 years in prison. While I was detained in Cyprus, I was portrayed in the international media as an arms dealer, even though I never traded a bullet in my entire life. In fact, nowhere in my indictment the DOJ claimed or presented evidence that I bought, sold, shipped, or financed any weapons. I was also charged with acting as an unregistered agent of CFC, which is a FARA violation.
Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? So he's charged for a FARA violation. Hunter Biden, not charged for a FARA violation. He's the one negotiating 10% for the big guy. He's the one negotiating with CEFC. And so Gal Luft ends up getting popped for a FARA violation. Hunter Biden, well, he gets away with it.
The DOJ says that I caused the payment of $6,000 a month to former CIA Director James Woolsey in order to put his name on an article I had ghostwritten for the China Daily newspaper. Nowhere in the indictment, the DOJ mentioned the well-known fact that Mr. Woolsey had been an advisor to my think tank since 2002.
Well, in fact, Woolsey was the co-founder of that think tank right here where I'm broadcasting from in Washington, D.C.
And that there was nothing in the article that represented Chinese interest. To the contrary. The notion that I, Gal Luft, spoon-fed a CIA director with policy proposals on China, treating him like a useful idiot, is not only an insult to the intelligence community, it is an insult to the intelligence of every American. The U.S. government claimed that I acted on behalf of CFC, and therefore I'm a foreign agent. But let me tell you a little secret. The same CFC that the U.S. government claims was associated with the Chinese intelligence and, quote, an international criminal organization, was a 501c3 charitable organization registered in the state of Virginia and approved by the IRS. The same organization was also a major donor to the Clinton Foundation and Columbia University. Needless to say that none of their executives were charged for any wrongdoing.
All right, so look, at this point, I realize Gal Luft has an interest here. He'd worked as an advisor for CEFC by his own admission. This is the Chinese energy company. They are obviously very close to the Chinese government. There's no question about that. Any wealthy company in China is locked in with the Communist Party. You have to, by the nature of that closed command economy. That's the way it works. But here's what Gal Luft is revealing. In addition to the Bidens working with CEFC, they also worked with the Clinton Foundation. They also worked with Columbia University. And look at this, all these Clinton intersections in this scandal.
If CFC was indeed a foreign entity tied so closely to the PRC, why was it allowed to operate freely as a public charity?
Interesting.
Why did the government expose taxpayers to the risk of funding an entity it knew at the time was so compromised?
Because CEFC has established a custom, this is obvious, a custom of buying off Democrats in the United States of America. They bought off the Clintons and the Clinton Foundation. They bought off the Bidens via Hunter Biden. So therefore, they probably bought off the Obama administration by extension by buying off Hunter Biden. So their ability to navigate with impunity in the United States, including registering as a charity in Virginia under the IRS code, it very much may have been helped by the fact that they were bribing all the right people. This is all fascinating information.
Why did they not warn anybody? Isn't the role of government to protect its people? I'm also being charged for making a false statement in Brussels. But why was I in Brussels to begin with? Was I there to eat Belgian waffles?
The man's got jokes.
The DOJ charged me for making a statement in a voluntary meeting that would have never come to bear if not for my good citizenship. So let me propose an idea. Why won't the DOJ make my indictment public? Do it. Make my day. Put it on your website so that every American can see the nature of the allegations against me, the quality of the evidence, and the length the government is willing to go to weaponize the justice system to punish whistleblowers like me.
So the claim is look, that they're charging him with a false statement in his meeting in Brussels, the one where he's laying out the Biden family corruption arrangement. And Gal Luft is asking for a very reasonable thing. You know, so under American law, of course, under the best principles of Western justice, you are innocent until proven guilty. There's all sorts of reasons why the public would want to know about this. This obviously is in the public interest. The Justice Department should make every allegation against this guy that they want to make them public. If they believe so strongly in the charges against him, if it's so obvious that he's guilty, then what are you holding back for? Why would you keep it a secret? Reveal it.
I have another idea. Why won't the FBI submit to Congress the minutes from the Brussels meeting? Let everybody see what happened in Brussels. Why not? Are you trying to protect anything? Are you trying to protect anybody? I also hope that the DOJ can explain why they targeted me in Cyprus and not in my home country of Israel, where I reside most of the time. After all, the U.S. shares a bilateral extradition treaty with Israel. So if any of my crimes are real and serious, and this is not just political prosecution, why did the U.S. need to sneak up on me during a short visit to Cyprus?
Yeah, these are all good questions, and unfortunately, not clear answers at all from the Biden administration. Silent on this. They're trying to destroy this guy. He's yet the latest person to bring, well-documented and very credible accusations against the Biden family. Think about it. Gal Luft, you've got the IRS whistleblower, the guy, the FD 1023 form with the FBI. It goes on and on. It seems like there are people, Tony Bobolinsky, he's an on-the-record allegation against the Biden bribery scandal. This is endless. The people making these allegations are piling up, and the Biden people, they're doing everything they can to stop them or destroy them. More ahead on the Dan Bongino Show. I'm Vince Colonnese in today for Dan.